Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and just one day, not even 24 hours removed from my video talking about how you should beware of the false prophet when it comes to video game leaks, especially regarding Call of Duty. We have potentially one of the biggest leaks to ever come out for the current generation of consoles. So this is actually going to be all referenced from Kotaku as well as a couple of other leading news information sites out there. The PlayStation 4 looks to be upgrading to the PlayStation 4.5 and Microsoft's Xbox One looks to be having some upgrades coming to it as well. I want to preface this entire video by saying take everything I say here with a grain of salt because none of it is going to be confirmed by Sony or Microsoft, although Microsoft has been talking a lot and been a lot more open about the idea of upgrading their systems, whereas this idea of a PlayStation 4.5, a lot of this is actually being leaked to people at Kotaku from developers and people that actually work within Sony, some inside sources that they have, and the entire reason why I'm actually reporting on it is I trust these websites. You look at Polygon, you look at Kotaku, you look at Destructoid, well, yes, you can say, oh, they're not that credible. These are pretty credible and pretty well-respected sites within the gaming industry as compared to some of the stuff that we see with like Call of Duty leaks, which will be like some random website, I'll just make it up, like EuroXgamer.net or something like that, which you never hear from, will claim to have some kind of inside information about like a new Call of Duty game. That's usually going to be BS, whereas these are some of the biggest names in gaming journalism, so I'm going to try and take what they say a little bit more seriously, but at the end of the day, keep in mind this is going to be leaked inside information that is being told to these people, so you never know what's actually going to happen with it. The Microsoft stuff definitely looks a lot more credible, whereas the PlayStation 4.5 does seem pretty credible, but it doesn't seem nearly as likely as the Xbox One upgrades, and we're going to be talking about both of those here in this video. So the PlayStation 4.5, essentially what this is going to be is it's going to be an entirely new console, which is essentially just going to be a PlayStation 4 that has increased graphical power, and it's going to have the ability to run games and VR, which I've been talking, of course, a lot about PlayStation VR, at a 4K resolution. To go ahead and quote the Kotaku article itself, it says, based on conversations with developers who have spoken with Sony, this PS4.5 will include an upgraded GPU both to support high-end 4K resolution for games and add more processing power that can enhance the games supported by PlayStation VR, the headset Sony will launch this fall. So that's interesting. The entire idea of possibly upgrading the graphical power of a console is not really one that we've seen too much. There have, of course, been things in the past where you can try to upgrade your systems, but we're talking very, very old stuff like Sega Genesis stuff here. So that's pretty interesting. The entire idea that they're going to put out an entirely new console, not further a generation. They're not going to jump up to an entirely new generation of console. They're going to stick with the current generation. They're just going to make the current platform a little bit more viable for different games. That sounds pretty cool to me. I think that would be pretty interesting, but of course that is going to raise a number of questions, both from me as well as you and just the rest of the gaming community in general. Like, number one, will this PlayStation 4.5 be like its own system entirely, or will games be developed solely for it and not for the regular PlayStation 4? If and when this console actually releases, assuming it actually releases, will it cost more than the PlayStation 4 initially did before its improved hardware, or will it be roughly about the same? I believe the PlayStation 4 was roughly $400 when it first came out, and I think it's dropped down to about $350 at this point, and that seems like a pretty low cost for a console if it's going to be able to support 4K. Another question is, will this thing actually be able to run 4K resolution games? Because that seems kind of unlikely. The PlayStation 4 I know can support 4K pictures, and it can in fact actually support 4K video, but can't support a 4K game. There's a lot of PCs that have trouble with a 4K game. That seems pretty unlikely to me. I don't know, especially if I look at the Xbox One. The Xbox One, keep in mind, has really no intentions of trying to go up to 4K, but the Xbox One struggles to do actual full native 1080p most of the time. Most of the time the Xbox One is running something like a 980p being scaled up to 1080p and stuff like that, so just the hardware of the current generation of console is already outdated. It was outdated when it was released, and therefore it's not really that great. So the possibility of them upgrading to support 4K resolution, you have to wonder how much is that console going to actually cost. Speaking of the cost of the PlayStation 4.5, will people who own a PlayStation 4 be able to trade in their current system for a percentage off of this PlayStation 4.5? Will PlayStation 4 games work with the PlayStation 4.5, and will the graphics be upscaled in some respect, or will they remain the same? I assume they'd remain the same because those games were not designed with that hardware in mind. They were designed with the original PlayStation 4 hardware in mind, but still, it's something you might want to ask yourself. There's definitely a lot of questions about this PlayStation 4.5 and all the ideas surrounding it, but it definitely sounds like a very interesting idea. Over at Microsoft, they've actually been a little bit more open about the possibility of upgrading their system, but they're looking to upgrade the Xbox One in a much different way. If you look at what Sony's attempting apparently to do with the PlayStation 4.5 and make an entirely new console, the Xbox One and Microsoft, they're looking to just upgrade the Xbox One itself. itself rather than trying to make an entirely new console. So the rumors are that Microsoft is going to try to make the Xbox One upgradable, right? Similar to Alienware's new stuff, or even similar to the consoles of yesteryear. I mean, look at these beauties right here. They're going to try to make it so you can essentially add things onto your console to increase its performance in one way or another. The advantage, of course, is that you don't need to buy an entirely new system, but you can just buy the things that you actually want to upgrade. If you want to purchase perhaps a graphical upgrade for your Xbox One, you purchase it at assumably a lower price than actual console. You attach it via probably USB 3.0 to your console, and then there you go. You have better graphics. That seems like an interesting idea, and Xbox's own Phil Spencer kind of hinted at that during the Xbox Spring Showcase, so we're definitely going to be keeping our eye on that to see if they're going to be allowing us to upgrade the Xbox One's power, because the Xbox One has definitely been struggling in a lot of respects, and it's been well documented. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of Xbox One games, not all, but there's a good amount of them, they're not actually full native 1080p. Like Call of Duty, I think the past couple of Call of Duties aren't even full 1080p. I think they're upscaled like 980p or something like that. Black Ops 3 might be full 1080p. I'm pretty sure Call of Duty Ghosts was actually 980p, and just so on, right? A lot of things don't actually run properly on the Xbox One because the hardware is so limited, and so for them to increase that hardware, that would be awesome. Would this mean for the first time, or at least the first time that I'm aware, I don't know of any other time this has actually been a thing, but would this mean that we would actually have the ability to scale our games on console? Because that would be interesting, because if you picture it, let's say they were to make the new Infinity Ward game, right? COD 2016. Let's say they were to release that in November like they're going to do, and let's say hypothetically the PlayStation 4.5 was out by that point. If they were to make it so that game can work on your PlayStation 4, one disc can work on your PlayStation 4 and your PlayStation 4.5, how exactly would they go about that? If it's one disc, you would have to scale it, right? In some respects, or if they were to make it for this upgraded Xbox One, you'd have to be able to scale it somehow, similar to what we have on PC. If you play Call of Duty or any game really on PC, you have the ability to change your settings essentially, right? So you can change around how much foliage is actually going to be popping up and how dynamic the shadows are going to be, or the strength of the light rays that are coming down and stuff like that. You even have the ability to scale from like 480p to 720p to 1080p and things like that. You've been able to do all this stuff on PC forever. Like I'm showing you freaking Call of Duty World at War footage here, right? You have the ability to scale all of that stuff. So if you can do that stuff on PC, and if we were to have these consoles that could be dynamically upgraded, would we actually have the ability to scale our games on console? Because that would be pretty interesting. I've been talking for a number of years now. I would love, and this is completely off topic, but I would love to be able to change around your field of view on console. Everyone keeps saying like, oh, that's going to make it very unstable. It's going to make it so the consoles can't run right. But you look at Black Ops 3, how many specialist ability changed around your actual field of view? How many mods have you seen in like Call of Duty 4 and stuff where you can actually have a higher field of view? It doesn't actually impact the game, or at least in that short period of time. So that would be interesting. It'd be cool if they were to add in some of these PC features to console, and I think they would have to, right? If they were to have a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 4.5 and one disc that is going to run on both of them, then that disc has to scale, right? Or else what would be the point of the PlayStation 4.5 if it's not going to have better graphics than the PlayStation 4? It doesn't seem to make sense, right? So maybe this is supposed to be a digital thing and then they can work it out digitally, or maybe it's not. That's all I really have to say about that. It seems to be a very interesting system that actually has a lot more questions than we have answers at this point. I just want to make this little video letting you guys know that the rumors are going around that there's a PlayStation 4.5 in development, and there's also rumors going around, but you're actually kind of started by Microsoft. They've actually been pretty open about this, and you can read more about that in the Polygon article. And of course, all of these sources that I'm using for this video, you can find links to them at the very bottom of the video description. But Microsoft's own Phil Spencer has been talking about this, and Microsoft in general has been very open about the idea of possibly being able to upgrade your Xbox One in the future. Just like the PlayStation 4.5, we don't know too much about it. There's really no concrete answers out there. There's just a couple of rumors, couple of ideas, and some inside information going around. And that's all we really know at this point. But still, the possibility of a PlayStation 4.5 and an upgradable Xbox One may be coming in the near future, and I'm hoping to learn more about it. I'm hoping that there's going to be more information being released soon, perhaps some official information coming from Sony or Microsoft. I think that would be very interesting, at least giving us their intentions. But at the same time, it's a very competitive business. Maybe they don't want to put their exact intentions out there, or what exactly they have planned, or what exactly they have in development, because of course that could be a competitive advantage for their competitors to try to take that idea and try to go along with the same line of thinking. I don't know, but it definitely seems interesting, the idea of upgrading your Xbox One, and the idea that PlayStation may be coming out with an entirely new console while staying within the same generation. Whew, could be a really cool time to be a gamer, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I hope you guys all found it helpful and informative. And if you did, please drop me a rating. And of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because this is kind of a bombshell, right? The idea of a new console coming out when so many people were so reluctant to upgrade in the first place. Like, that seems interesting. If people would actually go along with the PlayStation 4.5, if people would actually want to upgrade their Xbox Ones, like, I'd definitely be interested to see what you guys think about that. So let me know in the comment section below. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Drop me a rating. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.